the criteria, all the filters, and there's 2 listings for that day that matches the criteria of that person. Takes those listings, goes to the email, and sends an email to itself, essentially, to that person. Well, in this case, I'm doing a test, but yeah, because this is a test run. That's the link. Sends an email. When it's done, it gives you a report on what it did. So it's convenient in terms of it works like an employee. When imagine you hired an employee to do something and they report it to you after the task is done. So it's kind of like that, except you can see literally everything that automation, that bot in this case, did. And there's those emails. I don't know why it's so small, but those emails are there. Okay, so we can start now. So what is OnTrack and how it works? It's a browser. It's just like Chrome browser. I'm sure you're familiar with Chrome browsers and Firefox and Safari if you use Apple. And you install it in your computer. It works on both Mac and Windows. And it works essentially autonomously. It automates repetitive work online exclusively and repetitive work only. So it's logical work where you don't have to make a creative decision. You can't do design work. You cannot do work based on experience. You can teach it certain things, but it cannot come up with ideas essentially. So it does repetitive work, and it's a regular browser. There's nothing really special about it, I shouldn't say it, but it's a regular browser you install and use as any browser, except that it does the work for you, as opposed to you doing the work, or an employee that you hired. Another example, we have an automation that every day goes through a client list in your Outlook contact, books, and sends email to people who celebrate birthday. So in that case would be an interesting automation because we can send different emails to different people based on a criteria. So if you're a real estate agent and you have one group of people in one category, let's say they're big buyers, you can send them a happy birthday and a certain email or a certain type of email. If you have a different type of people that have less money or want to invest in commercial real estate, you can send a different congratulations message. So it could be programmed to follow a specific logic based on what you do. Now, why we've started automation and what's the challenge usually with automation? Most of the time is lack of knowledge. People conflate technologies. There's so many different options out there, and that's where the OnTrack comes in. We're very straightforward and very simple to use, install, and implement. Cost is usually high. OnTrack is free to implement and to start. That's a big one for advanced automation. Most of the automations are upfront. I mean, 8 to 10 grand, RPA software. Implementation, usually difficult and requires technical know-how. The bot that I played a video on, 15 minutes it took to build and test. So that's where the implementation, again, where the practicality comes in. Time. Most of the automations could take up to half a year. And I'm talking big enterprises. We focus on automations up to a few days. It could take up to a few days to build and test and essentially begin running. And of course, the big part of it is we offer ready-to-use automations. So if you want an automation but you're uncomfortable or you don't want to build it or spend time, You essentially tell us, I want A, B, C, and D done. This is my process. Build it for me. We build it, train it. We essentially follow up with you, make sure that the process is correct, and then after that, we post it, and you can just simply go to the OnTrack browser and set a schedule, and it runs for you. It does the work essentially. And change management. So the big problem with RPA is, what if something changes? Let's say you automated Craigslist as an example, and they moved a button from the left side of the screen to the right. You have to teach the bot that, hey, the button moved, or something else changed in your process. For example, you wanted to do Craigslist, but you want to now do some other website add to your process. So we can keep teaching the bot. Imagine an employee, essentially. That's what we're trying to mimic. A low-paid employee, an assistant, so to speak, that does certain work. So that's where we're trying to replace, really. And a fun fact, I'm not sure if it's fun, but it's a fun fact. Only 3% of enterprises were able to scale automation in a significant way so far. And by enterprise, I mean large corporation, big banks, large, 10,000 plus employees, 5,000 plus employees that have a team dedicated for this. And the problem is, it's change management. Everything else, time, implementation, cost, where to start is not an issue for a big organization, because they have the resources, they have people. Change management is where they really trip. Why? You build an automation for 6 months, and after 6 months something changes, and you just scratch everything, and you have to build it again. So that's why we're not able to really scale it. 3% were able to, but realistically small companies won't be able to do that. So that's where we come in. Well, what's our approach? It's pretty much direct. You essentially speak to an automation specialist right off the bat. Does not require technical know-how, hours, days. It takes for us to build an automation. Change management, yes. And cost starts at $49 per month. So that's a big one. Implementation doesn't really cost anything. We build an automation. Once it works, you run it for a certain period of time, and if you don't like it, you just stop. If you like it, you subscribe. That's pretty much it. Straightforward as it can be. And then fastest automation OnTrack implemented took 15 minutes. So that's the one that's with the real estate. Other automation examples. Another real estate automation example would be in Airbnb and HomeAway. You guys familiar with the websites? Mm-hmm. So it's a renter website, and there's a company that had 15 or 14 properties that were renting. And what they did is they did pricing every other day. And what they do is in Airbnb, they change the pricing, let's say for Monday, $100. And in HomeAway, which is a direct competitor to Airbnb, they had to go and adjust the pricing according to what was changed in Airbnb. So Airbnb was their main price point. But in HomeAway, they had to increase it by 2%. So if it's $100 for that day in Airbnb, it's $102 in HomeAway. So it's 2% increase, or sometimes 3% increase. So we automated that. When a person, the manager, changed the prices in Airbnb in specific property or multiple properties, automation then ran an automation. It took the pricing, increased the pricing by the percentage they wanted to, and added it to Airbnb. So if they changed pricing for the whole month, it logged in, went to the Airbnb, took the prices, multiplied, and added it to HomeAway. Yeah, HomeAway. So the Airbnb part could not be automated because, and that's a good example, because in Airbnb you have to determine what the price is. It's a human factor. So you have to look at market trends, your competition, and so on and so forth. So there has to be a data that human inputs, and then automation took over and did everything else. Social media automation, Facebook group automation. That was a cool automation. A marketing company managed 17 different Facebook groups for companies. And what they do is they engage people when a new person joins, sends the message, certain message. When that person responds, whatever the response is, they engage further. So that's what automation did. The initial engagement. So John Smith joined the Facebook group, and automation picked him up and sent him a message. Hey John, welcome to the group. Here's the link to our whatever. How can we help you? And if John responds, I'm not interested, I'm just looking around. And if I'm interested, then automation will send something else, and then it will send a user, a person that's managing that account, an email saying, hey, John Smith joined, he's interested, reach out to him. So that's very practical as well. Operations automation example, pull sales and inventory reports monthly and email it to a group of people. So it's essentially a very popular automation to pull reports, easy automation really, but it's like 14 different reports for multiple locations, and then the manager does it monthly, about 6 hours it takes. So he runs this automation once a month, and pretty much automated that. Okay, to conclude, so yeah, OnTrack is the most practical robotic process automation. Practical speed, cost, and implementation time. An alternative to essentially lower paid employees. And that's what we're trying to really compete against is the low paid, boring jobs. Can't replace people altogether, but we can replace people that don't want to be there in the first place, essentially. Yeah, so I'm sure you've dealt with the people like that. They have a job and they don't really want to do that job. So how we always say, we don't really remove people from the jobs. You can appoint that person to do sales or do whatever he needs to do besides the boring stuff. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
That's good. Can we actually watch that video of the real estate?
Yeah. We sure can.
Now that we understand it a little bit better, I want to watch it again. Okay, so this is a browser. You said like Chrome or Firefox or something, and you log into Craigslist and you log into your email and you're already set up, and then this essentially just replicates a human clicking. But to program this, you're telling it to like highlighting a field and saying type this in and click here, or.
It's a great question. I expected that. Give me just a sec.
I mean, I'll be really direct. So for those of you that don't know that I'm building an app called Brewery Hours, I've spent countless hours scraping the internet looking for brewery information, and I have a spreadsheet of 7,000 breweries. That took a lot of time. So every website I went to find that data is structured differently. So I would have essentially had to write a bot, or what do you call it, a track, run a track.
Essentially it's a bot.
Well, I want to use your terminology though. So I would have had to run a track for each of those websites individually, correct?
How much difference of the structure it is?
Totally. I mean, if I went to a Brewers Guild website in, Washington State versus Georgia, totally different websites, totally different structure. But inevitably, they're the same in that the list is there. Usually, it's a link that you can click to go to a page, and then on that page, you would take it. But sometimes we would just get the name and then have to go Google and find the link and then find the website and then look for their address and all that stuff. So
if you could have a list of the breweries, so let's say you have 50. Let's say you have 50 breweries, right? So you can build a track with 50 breweries and then just teach to deal with the 50 breweries. Let me find, give me a second.
So you can teach it to find the information that he's looking for?
It's very broad term, find it, yes, but you have to be very specific. You have to tell it that, hey, if usually you can't, whatever is decision, you can't make a decision. So for example, you put in a Google Mike's Brewery and there's 5 results.
it wouldn't know which
So
one.
yeah, it wouldn't know which one, but you would know because you know specific information that track cannot know. So it's kind of like an employee. If you put him to do something, if he Googled something, he would say, hey, which link should I use? It can't possibly know what's in your mind. It can't read thoughts.
But if I gave it 50 URLs, each URL representing a different brewery,
Yeah.
I could send it on a mission to find the phone number, the address, and
Oh yeah.
social links.
Oh yeah.
Now, what about updates?
Interesting.
Like if he programmed that, could he program it to be, if
Yeah.
the brewery changed
their
hours or decided to close on Sunday, could that automatically notify him? And in the same thought, if you had the real estate one and a house price change that you'd already previously emailed about, would it notify you in the drop of price or if the house was sold? Can you put it to notify things?
I don't have an internet. I'll show you guys. Yes, to answer your question, yes, it can. So bot can. It's like a person. That's the best way that I can give analogy. If you could run on a schedule and keep checking stuff for you. So if it has a list, if you have, let's say, a list like a database, let's say 10,000 people that needs to be constantly monitored, and you need to contact based on if something changes. So how do you do that? Like in real life, you would go through the list or have something someone, look for specific things that matches your criteria and say, hey, John Smith matched my A criteria and B criteria, and I need to contact him. So automation can do that.
Wow.
Essentially, it can constantly run, and just keep checking, and it could even, for example, it has duplicate control. So if for example, you have 10,000 people and it checks 2,000, and it can skip next time and check it every other month, or it
Whatever
can
you put in.
Yeah, whatever your criteria. So the automation's limit is to what you teach it.
Mm-hmm.
As a person, if you teach someone to do something, he will or she will do it. But if you don't, they will come and ask you.
So what we saw was an email composed. I'm thinking about how do I get that information into my database?
In terms of send an email to, or
No, well, I mean, I suppose I could. I suppose I could build a connection between an email and my database, but I'm wondering if the bot can take the information that I've told it to go get and literally put it inside of my database. If I have an API for it already, so
okay, yes,
could I connect that way?
Yes. Is database accessible via browser, or is it
I mean, it's PHP-MyAdmin.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, yes, you could. So this is through interface. Automation. So API is in the back end. This is through interface. So if there is an extensive API, we usually ask, do you have resource? It takes time to code unless it's already done. So API takes time unless you self code, and money.
Yeah.
This, it doesn't really. It's just just do it.
So could it fill out an Excel spreadsheet for you? Could it take data from the browser and then actually populate an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be on the browser, it could also be on the computer?
So it cannot manipulate files. So for example, if you have a program, an app installed on the computer, it cannot manipulate that app. But it can, for example, take data and download it as a CSV or as an Excel, and it'll be in your computer. But it can't do tasks within the computer.
But like if I already had like an Excel spreadsheet, like could it open up my spreadsheet and then add more to it?
Not Excel, he's saying, because that's a separate application outside of the browser. But what about Google Sheets?
If you upload, I was going to say, if you upload your spreadsheet to Google Sheets, what everyone now uses, you can do that. You can essentially.
How do you get around security software? Like how, like the security concerns of having automation running and it looks like having access to your accounts and things like that. How does that interface?
That's a great question. So everything's local. But there's nothing like work being done by bots in the browser. We only see actions. All the data is all locally. So if you did work through Chrome, for example, it's the same. It's essentially exactly the same thing. So we don't store. We delete everything. Like not only we don't store, we delete everything. It's auto, and you can, for example, set where every data, everything like whatever bot picked up, saved, it could be auto deleted right away. Like after run 1 hour, everything's gone. So we don't store. Nothing comes in to our. Nothing's stored online. Everything's on your computer. All the passwords, pretty much anything. So it automatically, because we had a cloud software before, but this was a big concern, data, because we used to store everything, and that's why we moved to a browser. It just automatically solves everything. What is more, OnTrack is built on Chromium, which is the same thing as Chrome. The difference is there's no tracking. So not only it's, Chrome is a Google's product, so they track everything. This doesn't track anything. No data saved, no tracking. It's bare bones, and it's meant to use for automation. So that's all it does. And then if you have an automation running, I can guarantee you it will not go to Facebook, it will not download stuff, it will not take coffee breaks and go to other websites. It will do only what you taught it to do. So not only it's question of safety, it's actually much safer, because most of the time the safety is compromised by a person in the organization doing something he or she's not supposed to do. So yeah.
So the $50 a month and all, is that for, I'm wondering how many applications? Like I may want to serve brewery hours, and then I may want to manage a Facebook group and all that too. So what does that look like?
Okay. So price is based on time.
Okay.
So $50, bot can work 4 hours per day on whatever you want, how many ever applications you have. It works it's like a person. Part-time is $50, 8 hours a day is $90, and every 4 hours is $50. So you can work 24 hours for you. Like, let's say you have automation that just needs to be always million people or million databases, needs to keep running. So it can work for 24 hours.
But it can do different things.
It could
during
do as
that
many.
time.
You can have 20 different
I can
apps.
have them do 50 different tasks
Correct.
within those 24 hours.
Correct.
And it's the one bot.
No, you can create multiple.
Okay.
Let me connect. So there's a lot of questions that
Sure.
can be answered with me going online.
Assuming our second presenter is not here, right?
Yeah.
We've got all the time. She had
Okay.
car trouble,
Okay.
so she's not gonna make it.
Okay.
Cool.
This is tidy.
No mermaid
No,
lessons for us today? That's
Yeah, I'm just
just
making
like
a lot
kind
of
of
Very
aqua,
fun. Anyway.
aquatics. I was really interested
Yeah, I would
just
trying to
because it
encourage
was
everyone to use the dishwasher.
out there.
I'm just gonna make myself at home.
I mean, what with all the rain coming
Just gonna
later,
make
I might have learned something.
Flash floods this morning, right? They were warning us.
Yeah.
Might as well lay back on the couch.
Do you need help decorating for Valentine's Day party?
Yes, he does. I'm sorry you don't have a date.
100% true. But still, I'll have one.
On the 15th, it's called the Queen Heights Manhattan.
You can always call me if you want to.
Thank you.
Music, casino,
Fun times, gambling for a good cause.
Okay, so I'm in the browser right now.
But I was just
So as an example, there's a lot of test box. I don't know if you guys can see it.
No. Can you increase your font size by like Command plus?
Yeah.
That'll at least make it bigger for us.
I can see that.
I have a question about your bots.
What's that?
So, you said you can program the bots, or when you purchase time, or you can go create as many bots as you want.
So,
You're saying it's X amount for it'll run so many hours, and you said it's run locally on each of our computers or whatever, or on system, and you all are managing the bots. So is it like a, what the question is it SQL macros that are running? So when you say if this, do this, capture this data? 'Cause
yeah, so there's a few questions in here. So if this and that, that's part of the logic. If this and then that, it's a logical, essentially, script. If A, then B, or if B, then C, whatever. So that's a logical. Now to answer your question on time and cost, $50, 4 hours every day. So it doesn't matter what you do. And it's kind of like if you hired an employee, $50,000 a year, and he can do multiple. He can, or she can, code and do this or do that, and grab a coffee or,
how is that 4 hours managed?
He was
by the
giving
bot?
a comparison.
Oh,
He
it
was
takes
saying-
time. So let's say, for example, automation. Let's take an example. Let's take this example.
Because you're saying I'm running this on my system and you're not managing it on your system. Could I go in and tell the bot, okay, do it for 5 hours?
Does everyone see it?
No.
No. Okay.
That's how long each process took?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
That's how long each process took, and in this case, it sends in-mails. So
This is $49 a month.
that's how the time is measured. How long? Yeah.
How did it take 3 hours to send 16 in-mails?
How many?
Took 3 hours to send 16 in-mails?
2 hours and 52 minutes.
It really depends. In that, there's a lot of logic.
I think he was
So
looking for the one you were talking about.
so it really depends on work, and this exactly mimics a person. That's number one. Number two, it depends on logic. Like this
That's
situation,
brutal.
it has to check
Oh my God,
to
that
see
would've
if
been-
it's certain criteria is met. So it has to go into every person's account and make sure they're open to receive marketing. If they're open, he sends. If not, he skips the account, skips the person, as an example. But this helps, essentially, this tells you what automation does and what you have to do before you run it. And this, each run, and how much it took, how much time did it took to run. So that's, to answer your question, if you have it running for 4 hours, and it's, ran for 2 hours and 51 minutes, you have left, 1 hour and 9 minutes of using for whatever you want. Now, to answer your question, if we maintain it, yes, we do. And here's the example. It's under maintenance. So if something breaks down, process changed, needs to be taught something, it goes into the maintenance mode. You run it and it stops doing. Then our engineers essentially either need to teach something, or we'll reach out to you and say, hey, it bot failed because, do you want to do something about it? And we solve it, and it becomes available again, and you run it again. That's how we teach. So you don't have to, you just run it essentially. There's no like coding or maintenance or whatsoever. So yeah, you see the so that's pretty much how it works. Now, I'll guys play you a little demo video. To kind of see how it works. So they will answer your question on how to build it.
Cassie, as you're going through, and I see what it's doing, you're setting up the parameters and the actions that you want to do. Are you finding that there are certain tasks that are extremely popular that people are asking you to do over and over? Like if you said, hey, I wanna use OnTrack for this, as you used real estate as an example. If that's a major category, have you considered making, or do you have like pre-built templates already for that track to be ran when somebody buys the program?
So the biggest challenge for us is knowing, if let's say give an example of real estate, knowing specifics, the websites they work in, or what they need, what's the biggest issue, what's the biggest pain. So once we know that, we can build an automation. Let's say if someone came to us, real estate owner of the agency, and said, hey, I have a huge problem, and this is very relevant for the entire industry, and he walked me through the process, we can build the automation, and we can offer it to anyone. Yes, so we can.
That's one of the biggest questions I think people are having right now during this, hopefully to help you with your presentation, is how do we implement this into our daily work lives or personal lives? It's great to be able to say, go ahead and send out birthday emails for me out of my contact list. That's simple. We can all understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about using this browser to go out and do a certain task, I think we're all trying to find something that we can connect with and say, what am I gonna get for my $50? Where is this gonna lighten my load? Like Lynn, he has a sign company, and so he's like, what is this gonna do for me? Maybe it's just an annual, hey, we did an installation last year, and how are things going for you? So I understand it could probably be a follow-up for you, but how does that different from like MailChimp or something else that you can set up to send those automated emails?
So that's trying to see how can I better answer this. So this
is more task oriented.
Correct. So basically, if we speak to a business, we not necessarily assume there's something to automate. Sometimes people will say, well, I wanted this done or this done, and we find what it is they want to do, and we say, don't automate this. So not everything can or should be automated. That's number one. Number two, for us, there is no way to know. Like I would come to Lynn and say, hey Lynn, do you have anything that you want to do or you want your employees to do, but they really hate to do it? You have to do it, someone has to do it, but no one really wants to do it. And that's really how we approach it. And Lynn will say, well, yeah, I have my guys usually, making signs for people, but I have this group of people, this list that we have to, email. And then if MailChimp can do it, well, then we'll say, hey, MailChimp is built for that. But if Lynn says, well, I want not to come from MailChimp, I want it to be not mailing campaign, I don't want to send 150,000 emails every month. I want to send 54 emails, but from my email based on this criteria. I want it, highly customized, and I want these people to be informed that we have, A, and these people to be informed that we have B. These ask me to follow up with them when we have this available. So we can manage. It can do actual work. So MailChimp is a tool. It sends emails, full stop.
And you have to be there, right, for MailChimp. You have to actually press that button, that send button.
Yeah, but if you're
But with yours, I can be asleep at 3 a.m. I can have an email sent out. You can do a search task and then connect with my potential clients via email.
correct, but that's
Which is
correct.
great.
It could do, yeah. MailChimp, you can schedule it too, but my point is, if your goal is to just send mail, I'll say go to MailChimp or go to Constant Campaign or go to this. There's tools for specific stuff. But if your idea is to do a certain process to send an email based on certain criteria that people usually require to, take into account to, then we can talk, essentially.
Does your thing work with things like MailChimp? Can
It-
it connect and then tell MailChimp to do certain things?
Yes, but I believe MailChimp has scheduling. Like I've never used MailChimp, so again,
I'm
once.
just saying work with other apps or other
Correct.
things.
Oh, yeah.
You could like go in and tell it to open whatever and
Yeah,
send it.
so it works through interface. It can work with anything online. There's no.
Basically,
Limit.
just to help you out,
Yeah.
like any task that you would do, you would open up your web browser, you would click to sign in, you would click to run a report, you would click to send an email. Anything that you're clicking on, you're gonna tell the bot, click on this button, then do this, then do that. Everything that you would manually click, it can do. So using MailChimp is clicking login, clicking audiences, clicking campaigns, clicking create new, right? All the things that you would do, human would do, you can tell this bot to do for you.
So you can basically, if I have my co-working office, I can say, every month I want you to go out to all these other co-working offices and give me their pricing. You can bring me in all their pricing so I know I'm staying competitive.
Correct.
And it'll create that report for me.
Yeah, exactly. If you have 50 competitors out there, right, and you have all their websites, and you have to go there monthly to check what they're charging, yes, you could tell bot to run every month or weekly, and it will check those 50 websites, get the prices for you and put them in a spreadsheet. As an example, put it in a Google spreadsheet, and you log in on the 30th of every month or 1st of every month, however you want to run it, and you will see that report that, how much they're charging. Yeah, you can do that. Yes.
So one thing, well, and here's another question, which is probably yes. I know for a lot of us small business owners, we like go on the bubble page or whatever on Facebook, the different groups where people say like, I need an estate attorney. And so, then we can go on and be like, oh, such and such is really good. So could your bot, watch those group pages and then look for keywords and then post oh, this person I suggest, and then be able to do it for different criteria?
It could look for keywords. If let's say there's a challenge with that, let's say there's a state attorney or attorney keyword, and you assume that when the word is attorney there used, they need an attorney, as opposed to they're posting that, hey, I have an attorney that I can offer. So it can't understand the meaning of the message. But if you tell, if there is a group of words, do this. If there isn't a group of words, do this. If there is a different group of words, do this. But it can't understand, it can't read a message and say, oh, this person doesn't need, it needs, it's offering something. So it can't understand the meaning, but it can understand specific things and do specific things. Yeah, so yes, but I would be very careful with that type of automation, because you might send a message to a person that using the keyword attorney, but is actually not looking for an attorney. So that's the yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think if we're giving feedback, I think it sounds like a lot of us are having a hard time wrapping our heads around, in practical business settings, where you guys where you're a good fit and where you're not. We're still trying to, this is all really cool, but we're all still trying to wrap our minds around, well, does it work here or there, or
So this is the question. This is the question for us, and the honest answer, I have no idea. The best way to do is, hey, I have 3 ideas where we can use this. Let me bounce it off. So you call me and you say, hey, I want to do this. I have an employee doing it now. I want to do this, and I could say, yeah, we can definitely do this. This makes total sense, and you'll save 3 hours, and you can put that employee to do something else, as an example. Or I will say, no, don't automate this. Here's the problem. or I will say, no, we cannot automate this. Like, it's not possible technologically to automate this. So there's, we cannot know the businesses. We can assume specific things, and we build some automations that I know on my business perspective, like some billing management stuff and stuff like that. But if I have no idea, no clue about real estate and what the problems in that industry is. So I would have to rely on you or whoever works in real estate to say, hey, I have this idea that I want to automate. Can you do it? And then I'll say, yeah, we can.
How are you gonna find customers then?
Wow.
I'm sorry?
How are you gonna find people?
So I do a lot of like personal sales, and we sometimes, for example, people will contact us and they will say, hey, I read your automation, I saw this example, it kind of looks like what I need, can I do this?
Are they the same people? I mean, I really feel, and this is just my opinion, you need to have a more specific market or target. You're very broad, and that's gonna be hard when it comes to marketing and trying to.
At least to
get-
start with.
Yeah,
at least
we're-
if you
we're-
choose
we're going
one
to
group,
work-
maybe
yeah.
realtors, I don't know.
Real estate market would be
But
a good one.
that's my opinion. And also, how long have you been doing this? How long?
We've launched this specific version last year, November, so 2019 November. So we're not that old, so to speak. So we're learning, and it is pretty broad, but that's the kind of whole point of the software. You can do anything, but
I understand.
but we would have to go to the market. Yes, I agree, and that's
You have to market to different people different ways, because a real
Correct.
estate person or office is gonna be different than a doctor's office, which is gonna be different than an e-commerce.
Yep, you're absolutely right.
So pick
That-
one. Pick one and go after that market for
Yep.
right now.
Well, let me, all right, so let me mention something. So based on what you're talking about, and it made it, for me, it comes back to my operating system and its current weaknesses.
Mhm.
We send out estimates, and we put out a follow-up date in our system. It may show up on a queue for us to do the follow-up, but we still have to do the follow-up, whether we choose to make the phone call or at least send an email that says, hey, we gave you an estimate 2 days ago, you ready to do that project? You know, just checking back.
Mhm.
You get busy, and guess what? You don't do follow-up.
Oh, that's very common.
And then also in our particular system, same system, you know, everybody has AR that they need to chase. And maybe your system isn't doing that for you. Or however you've got it integrated into QuickBooks, because ours will drop down into QuickBooks, but we may not reconcile it. We'll reconcile it in QuickBooks, but that's not where we do our collection.
So what's AR? I'm sorry.
Accounts receivable.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Um,
Sorry.
That's a huge one. So I would, you know, if you found organizations that have systems where it's not automatically doing follow-up on estimates for them, a good many of them out there now do, but if it's not, that's an angle for you.
Yep.
Because it's going into that system, seeing what dates should be done for follow-up, and just sending out an email to, you know, because all that information's in our system, to that individual and said, hey, we sent you an estimate for, you know, sign, project, description, whatever, and you can pull those fields. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to move on it? You know, just checking back with you, some kind of contact. And I would argue the same way, if some of their systems don't do AR, or they're not really in a mode where somebody's supposed to be doing accounts receivable and they're supposed to be at least sending out some initial follow-up on the bill. Those all have deadlines and dates as well. Those are things that all within certain timeframes, somebody should be reaching back out. Now, whether you choose to send emails on some of these versus phone calls is another matter, but
Right.
if neither one are happening on a regular basis, at a minimum, you want the emails going out. You could still do it with a phone call later.
I agree. That comes back to the same point. That's like very specific. Yeah. That's what we're doing right now. We've spoken with a couple of real estate people, and we know a couple of processes that kind of looks apparent as problem in the real estate industry. So we are doing, but it's extremely difficult. Like if I'm not in, like you're in a sign making business, I have no clue. So it would be significantly difficult for me to come to you and say, hey, well, Lane, can we automate something for you? Essentially, that's the only thing I can say, unless I have a previous knowledge about the sign company and I have automations pre-built.
But his problem with accounts receivable
Uh-huh.
is a problem that almost all small businesses face. So you could attack it from that angle. But from what I hear, you're an automation consultant. You want the opportunity to sit with businesses and figure out where you can help them cut corners and save time, which will inevitably save them money. But it sounds like you need to be in front of the person having that meeting, that it's not necessarily a SaaS product where you can just, you know, sell it and get a good night's sleep.
That's the problem. Yes, we assumed it's going to be SaaS, but it didn't actually came out to be like that. So yes, every time we learn specific angle, kind of try to pursue it. And accounts receivable is a good idea. I never thought about it.
Because everyone has that.
I know we're coming up on our time.
It's probably not. It's very-
We're at what, 9:30? So, the one question that we ask, and I know this is the second 1 million cups you've presented at, what is it that you'd like this community to do for you? Why are you here in front of us today?
Well,
We'll wrap with this.
yeah. So we're a startup, so we're looking pretty much on every angle that we can expose ourselves and get as much feedback as we can. So specifically, like all the suggestions that you guys gave me on accounts receivable or your suggestion, that's really what we need. If you give us an idea, we'll pursue the idea, automate it, and research it. So that's been already very helpful. Like Lynn's advice on accounts receivable, you know, I made a mental note on that one. So I'll write it down and I'll do more research. So yeah, anything you guys have that you have an idea about automating or kind of thought about that would be cool to try, you can bounce it off of me, which in turn I'll give you information and you learn more. And for me, if it's a really good idea, I'll automate it for you for free and you can use it. You know, I'll give it to you to use.
So you'll let us be, you're looking for some beta testers.
Beta testers, and yeah, and essentially, yeah, like if you
Laura's got a
have.
specific one that she'll talk to you about afterwards.
Fantastic. So yeah, so that's really the number one thing. We're looking for angles.
Well, I want to talk to you because I'm absolutely interested in that.
Must
But
love dogs.
just for clarification, because I feel like there was still some confusion. It's essentially, it's not $49 a month. It's $49 per 5 hour.
A month.
No.
It is a month,
It
but
is
it
a
can only
4
work for
hours
5
a
hours.
day.
Every day.
4 hours.
So 4
per
times
day.
30. I don't know how many hours.
Okay.
It's
And that's addition to your
Game
the
changer
startup
right there. That
cost,
was totally different.
right?
Hmm?
Was
It would
there a
be-
startup cost?
Free to sign up.
There's no. It's
free
free.
to sign up? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So it's you pay $49 for that month, and you can run. So if you hire a person, you pay him salary. He works for you 8 hours a day,
I
and
know.
that's it. There's full stop. So that's essentially for $99, the bot can work full time, 8 hours per day, every day,
Right?
doing
I
whatever.
am very
Was it 4
blessed
hours?
that the person I work with in my
Okay,
office
great.
is amazing. And she figured out how to use her phone to send me texts at specific times, so it'll be like.
As far as your presentation,
I mean, I would need it to do.
I would suggest that you make the stuff bigger so people can see it in the back. And I know. And
Perspective of how much I would use it.
also, when you did that video on how you did the real estate thing and you sent the
I
emails,
want more.
I would think that someone would want their, like, create a company banner or something so that the emails look a little prettier when they're going out to them, not just the link. You know, just show that you can use your own like launch and go website or, you know, something, some kind of banner.
It probably has
on
that
it.
when you set it up. It's coming out of your
I have the
email.
numbers.
No, but it's not showing it.
But you could put an auto signature.
Work has been
in
done,
the
but I would want to go
every
back
time
and
have
check
it.
their hours and
Yeah.
suggested to keep the
I don't know, I mean, I'm saying that we should show it, right, so that, you know, and explain better the pricing next
been-
time.
Okay. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. You guys, as you know, you're more than welcome to stick around as long as you want.
This is it, right?
Next month, okay, that's March, which I think is the 4th or the 5th. So we'll have 2 presenters again. It's 8:30 in the morning. Invite your friends, and just a little tease. Night market starts back up in April, right?
Check the website.
Check the website. So
That's all I can
it's
say
a
right
fun
now.
free event on a Saturday evening if you're looking for something to do, Laura. But that's it. Thank you guys for coming. Kestis, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You guys have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.